All right, guys. So you're not gonna get a camera of me today because I don't know whatever reason it's not fucking working. But we are gonna do a video review. You'll just have to listen to my voice. And what we're gonna explore today is the problem of well-meaning dumb old fucks. Now, this particular well-meaning dumb old fuck, Dad Saves America, which let me tell you, don't we all wish that was the case, that we could all just go to Daddy, and he's bankrolling on that. I can see, but he ain't saving shit. He's retarded. He's 20 years behind on the conversation, and he's a representative of every local board of supervisor, every chair of every scholastic institution in this town, and every town across the country. He is the quintessential dumb old fuck, and he's going to be talking to some manipulative hag. So we're going to have a conversation between the dumb old fuck and the manipulative hag, trying to figure out what went fucking wrong by never actually looking at the problem or talking to any of the people actually fucking dealing with the problem, so they can theorize about the problem without having to deal with evidence, and so they can somewhat, because they're really scared that if they explore the evidence, what they're going to find is that he's a dumb old fuck and she's a manipulative hag, and everything they've said has done nothing, and everything they believe for the years of their lives is the thing that is directly responsible for the destruction of the known world, and it's probably going to lead their children into an age of starvation, warfare, and societal collapse, not only because of everything they've believed for, but because of their inability to fucking shut up now when it is most necessary. And so we're going to talk about it.
Young men are frightened of women.
Young men are not frightened of women. This is dumb shit.
They're frightened of the power that women have.
They are frightened. They're not even frightened. What's the word I'm looking for? They are repulsed that dumb old bitches like this continue to say shit is not true. What power? What power do women have over men? Short of calling the cops and lying to the cops, which let me tell you, once society collapses and we're all just shooting each other in the streets anyway, it's gonna that power is gonna be swiftly curtailed. Everything that gives women in the modern fucking society quote unquote power is created off the back of a male slave. Every single fucking thing. The road, the air conditioning, the nice job, the ability to do yoga for money, or to fucking sell yourself on OnlyFans. Right? The entire infrastructure of the entire fucking reality that exists, that gives women their so-called fucking power, is built off the back of male slaves. Male slaves who now all have the internet, and many of which have realized what this game is. And so every time a woman says something retarded like that, it is repulsive. It means that she's not aware of the overall damage of these systems, or she doesn't care. It means she lives in a fucking delusion. It means that she's so comfortable living in delusion. Who knows what else she's delusional about? It's not that men are scared of these women, it's that they are being repulsed from these women because of the levels of delusion that have been drilled into them from a societal facade that has been created solely as a mechanism to sell books for old bitches like this, right? Your average woman is part of a deluded cult. That is what is scaring men away. And it's not scaring, it's repulsion. So every man is now in a situation where it's like, well, biologically I'm super attracted to you, but intellectually, you just are a rabid fucking human. But since all of you bitches are now rabid humans through the internet, and you are all fucking deluded, and you all say dumb shit 24 fucking 7, well, my choice is to use you and lose you, or try and reform you, which 9 times out of 10 isn't gonna work, and will be hijacked by your own fucking community or some desperate fuck the second they see an opportunity. And so just use them and lose them, guys, right? And I used to be the most gentlemanly, like, this is the society that dumb, manipulative old bitches like this are creating so they can sell books. Okay?
To accuse them of,
Yes. The potential for a woman to lie and destroy your career, or have you get swatted, or have you get killed, is very high. But let's face it, men lie too. And a snitch mob of men will outweigh the single testimony of one woman. So this is not even an accurate to like only one sex does this.
So, I mean, I think, again, to look at it in a balanced way is to say, and a more objective way is to say that at some point, society idealized men and diminished women. It needed to be.
At no point in global society did that happen until, like, how do I put this? Communism came about, as far as I can tell. If you look at historical data, right? If you look at every primitive culture on Earth, they all hold women in reverence, right? Even our society, as much of a hellscape as it is for either sex, is designed to cater and uplift women. So the only people who really seem to believe this, or who really seem to be pushing this narrative, are people who financially benefit from creating the narrative, regardless of how true it is. Regardless of how few examples in fucking history, when we actually look at anthropological data, we have for the behaviors that she's claiming are so commonplace. Even today, under a literal just weight of subjugation and abuse by and on behalf of the female sex in the Western world that the average man experiences, they still seem to be driven to take care of these bitches, right? Granted, a lot of them are physiologically crippled at birth through the process of circumcision psychologically crippled at birth through the process of circumcision without anesthesia. Which is just one more, like, I mean, imagine if we were just clipping every, like, when they're clipping every chick that came out of the womb in South Africa, everyone was throwing a fit, right? And with good reason. That's a horrifying practice, but it's a horrifying practice when done to men too. You know what I mean? But it's just like, according to who? The bitch who sells books, who's made herself rich off this fucking ideology?
Be balanced, but in trying to balance it, we imbalanced it. It's the way, right? The pendulum swings from one side to the.
In trying to get power unjustly by leveraging other people to do it, you created a global situation of female and male abuse through separation, abortion, poverty. Like these fucking hags are the worst goddamn people to have ever existed and walked the fucking earth.
The other. Women used to resent men because they were misogynistic, and now men resent women because they have so much power.
No one is resenting women, right? It's not about resentment. It's about idiocy, okay? Once again, the power that women have is dependent on the male slave. If the male slave chooses not to be a slave, the women don't have power. Okay? That's just reality. That's just reality, guys. Okay? And the fact that, how do I put this? How did she just say that? Let me go back for a second. 5 seconds back. She used a word.
It's the way, right? The pendulum swings from
Blah,
one
blah,
side
blah,
to
blah,
the
blah.
other. Women used to resent men because they were misogynistic, and now
Women do not appear to resent men who are misogynistic. Even today, in the most feminized society of Earth, women pretty much, during their peak years of sexuality and fertility, prefer misogyny to any other behavior in terms of selecting for sexual partners. Prefer abuse, prefer to be, no matter what they say, right? If we look at the actions of the average female today, they all seem to be like, prefer that. So like, why is everyone listening to these fucking books, right? If women don't prefer that, they wouldn't fucking choose the partners they do. If women didn't prefer that, we wouldn't be dealing with a crisis, a global crisis of digital prostitution, if women did not prefer to cater to misogyny. So why are we all lying to ourselves?
now men resent women because they have so much power over young men, and young men are afraid. Quite frankly, the young men who come to see me are afraid of women. Either they're afraid that women are going to reject them because, as my son said, they all seem so together.
Okay, this is kind of what it is, honestly, guys. Is female psychology is basically downloadable on the internet now, and if you bitches don't think you have female psychology, you're behind on the conversation. Every man who has tried to point out the predation that is happening through this psychological manipulation is demonized by the very women he's trying to fucking protect from predation, demonized by society, lied about by the dude attempting the predation, And the old fucks, the old men who know that you're right, still think they're keeping a secret because they don't understand that information has gone viral through a large subsection of the internet, and they demonize you too. Don't let the bitches know that we can manipulate them really fucking easily, right? Or they might figure out we've been doing it all along. No, it's kind of important the bitches understand when they're being manipulated. It's kind of really super fucking important at this time in history. Right? Because right now it looks like a computer is manipulating the bitches to kill us all, including the bitches. Right? So the idea that we're going to keep this secret about the ease of female manipulation and the connection between orgasm and pair bonding, regardless of the circumstance in which the orgasm fucking occurred, is a poisonous to the whole fucking society and possibly the whole fucking globe at this point. And his knowledge is being protected to protect the interests of a few literal lying sacks of shit. Literal fucking pimps. Who have made their wealth off the back of trickery, lies, and the destruction of families. Okay, so can we all stop playing these games?
And they're all looking for, someone who's as together and can make lots of money, because we've also become a very material culture. So the idea that women will marry only at their level or above is also socioeconomically.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got to be
Yeah,
taller. You got to be good looking. I
right.
mean, my son is talking.
Technically, if this society goes away tomorrow, right? You don't gotta be anything. You just have to be dangerous enough to fight off other potential shooters, which in the age of firearms, right? Is everyone's got that, and be able to catch her. If society collapses, guys, is that the society you dumb bitches want to live in? Apparently, because you are taking actions that lead to the collapse of society. You are taking the actions of not taking accountability. You are taking the actions of not talking honestly about how the world works. You are taking the actions of continuing to protect the lying fucking pimps who are keeping you in these fucking covert harems, which is destabilizing the whole fucking situation in the first place. You continue to take the actions of the digital monetization to prostitution, segregating yourself from the fucking rest of society. You continue to take the actions of women's communes, segregating yourself from the rest of the society and causing undue emotional harm to a captive male populace who, in order to try and bring you out of the women's commune to marry, are burn up the whole fucking earth. Innovating shits, just trying to impress you dumb bitches, when the reality situation is you're just a bunch of scared bitches that society has made it illegal for us to push you into the pool, right? So you can learn to fucking swim. All of these enlightened, empowered, feminist women are nothing more but coddled fucking children, and they have been coddled to the point of human extinction because they have been kept in these circles and societies for so long that we're looking at 50% global population collapse through lack of births, right? With a numbers ratio of considerably more males in general population than females, which is going to lead to just some fucking hellish shit, And this could have literally all been stopped within the last 10 years. Within the last 10 years, this probably could have ended if I had just been able to get one dumb fucking whore to cooperate with me. Not sexually, but just with honesty. Right? But they fucking refuse. They're fucking capable at this point of facing the reality that they have been getting manipulated. Right? And these old fucks are not helping the situation because they give everything this veneer of calmness. Like, the situation is not much worse than it is. Right? And he's starting to figure it out because he just got involved 6 months ago, And so it's yeah.
Talked about this. He said the expectations even at high school age are super extreme.
Yeah.
The expectations are artificial, and they are being created on purpose to segregate these women from potential suitors within their own fucking class, race, so that they can be used and sold to foreign nationals or foreign systems or corporate harems. Okay, the relationships between men and women are being attacked digitally, consciously. And these dumb old fucks refuse to acknowledge that is the case and continue to victim blame the victims of the system that they have created with their ignorance, their lack of fucking care, and their fucking greed, and their desire to be something worthwhile, which they are not, because of the damages they continue to fucking do to the entire natural sphere and their own children with their fucking ignorance. Just because their inability to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
It's
and
like you're looking
perfectionistic.
for this idealized thing, and the swipe apps allow you to just filter until you find somebody that looks like they meet this narrow criteria, and then the way that distributes is also crazy. Like the percentage of candidates that get swiped in the affirmative.
Yes, there are massive compounds of pigs in women's communes, holding hundreds of thousands of women, like, taken together, separate from fucking society, right? Enriching them off the back of dangling them out in front of a population which has no access to females because of the artificial economic segregation that is enforced by Gestapo police officers who are an enforcement arm of these gulag systems, right? Yeah, and you have all the fucking slave workers, right? And all the slave workers are just getting more and more angry. And all these bitches are getting older and older. And if we get to a point where the slave workers are maximally angry and the bitches are so old they can't have kids, you know what's going to happen? Chaos. Everyone's going to start shooting and killing each other. I'm getting ready for it. I think it's fucking unfucking avoidable. Right? And thank God we live in a retirement community. So when they show up, I can just let the fucking psychos come to town. They'll go door to door and wipe all you old fucks up. And I just come in the middle of the night and wipe them out at like half the expense and cost. It seems to be what we're going for. Seems to be what you guys want because of your continued lack of ability to treat me like your fucking intellectual superior and your logistical superior and your knowledge of Earth superior like I deserve, you dumb, retarded fucks who run my town. Right? And I'm not talking about the board of supervisors. I'm talking about the Ridge Royalty. I'm talking about the underground prostitution cocaine circuit. All right? You people are fucking idiots. All right? And you're not going to have anything. And no one's going to have anything if the entire forest burns down because I'm incapable of getting through this bullshit because I'm getting fucking hamstrung by my own community because they're afraid a secret that they're keeping is going to come out when it's already come out across the entire fucking globe. And it's being used to destabilize the entire globe. And it's now demonstrable that your fucking secret is a cancer to this fucking earth. Your cultural behaviors and ideologies are a cancer to this fucking planet, to men, to women, when taken to their natural extremes, which is now happening under new technology. By people who aren't you, who think they discovered your fucking secret about the basics of human intersexuality on their own. Because you're so concerned about keeping a fucking secret. You know what I mean? That's just for my local community, right? You know, that's for the fucking locals.
Male to female is totally different.
Yeah.
And so it's like we've got a lot more men being rejected and a lot more. So there's all these other things going on.
Well, remember what I said.
You start to do the math. How can 63% of men have no sexual options according to all the ratios, but 23% have two fucking wives? That doesn't make any sense. No, it makes perfect fucking sense. But it's literally worse than that. It's literally worse than that because on top of that, you have a whole subclass of male who understands, hey, the grape's not real if she squeals, and are utilizing that in a distracted society of fucking retards to just build their own covert power structures on top of that, right? And then you got to be the guy understanding totally how the biology works and still doing the right thing when you see 100 motherfuckers getting rich off doing the wrong thing, and the governments and the society ignoring the real problem in order to fucking try and fuck you over with parking tickets and like random complaints called in by random snitch mobs for money. Well, this is happening all around them, right? And then I have to fucking meet these bitches. I'm trying to be nice to them. And so they just take me for this retard here, some circumcised fuck, and start trying to play me. You know what I mean? And every dude is going through this. Every dude who is not a psychologically crippled retard from prepubescent trauma and circumcision without anesthesia right now is to wade through a literal legion of fucking human predators, you know, female fucking vampires, and it's fucking hell. It's hell, okay? That's what it is. It's just fucking hell, right? It should not be my responsibility as a male who is trying to do his best to uphold society and take care of his people and heal his community and keep his community from doing it, and has done everything right through life, right? It shouldn't be my issue to take care of some fuckboy pimp who lazes around and does nothing but live off the fucking wealth of women that is being generated artificially through digital prostitution, damaged goods, right? Like, why is that my responsibility? You know, especially when these females won't even fucking admit to the damage, won't even admit to the years lost, won't even admit to the fertility loss, won't even admit that they were manipulated. You know, which at least if they admitted they were manipulated, this would allow the men to seek some kind of recompensance from the males responsible. Now that they're fucking strapped with the responsibility of caring for a fucking broken human that they had no part in creating. And that's just reality.
I said about boys being more fragile. They're more neurological.
Everything she's trying to say is bullshit. And that's demonstrable because you talk to any military vet who has served with women, and we will tell you how women respond in the fucking combat zone. The reality situation is one bad dick can break a woman. And we see it numerous fucking times. So why are we pretending that somehow this is true, what she's about to say?
Logically and emotionally fragile. Always were.
It is literally not possible for us to be more biologically, emotionally fragile because what do you call it? Because we only have testosterone versus estrogen and testosterone, and because it's easier to juggle one ball, right, than fucking two balls. It's easier to fuck up the rhythm of two balls. Therefore, the two ball situation when juggling is what do you call this? More fragile, because there's more moving parts. So self-evidently, biologically, chemically, women are more emotionally fragile than men.
It's just the way of biology. They always have been. And so,
you know, she didn't cite any science or a fact or anything, or explain how chemistry works in the body, or bring up the fact. She just made a statement and kept rolling with it because she's got a lot of books to sell based off that fucking statement. This corrupted fucking hag.
When you take away their identity and you tell them that being boys and being masculine is bad, and they're bad, and they're toxic, and, you know, then you've basically robbed them of some of their confidence, some of their identity, and then they're afraid of what women can do to them, what young women can do to them. So it's a power imbalance, really.
Yeah, but the power imbalance is the fact that the natives of this country are being held under this paradigm of like chivalry, which is not even a real paradigm of chivalry because there's no violence of harmlessness, while foreign immigrants are literally protected in their acts of rape, right? Like protected by their culture, by their community. Like these guys will send dudes out just to GRAPE, whatever, right? And then they come back to the community, and their whole community will protect their actions. Okay, so it's like, and we're not allowed to respond with those people with violence, or the cops will come after us, right? And so men are being forced into a situation where they too must commit to a course of rape if they want to achieve any type of intersexual satisfaction, right? Which is horrifying for society, or just be killed through economic segregation, coercion, and subversion. And people don't like to be murdered. And when you try and murder people, expect eventually for them to murder the people who are ultimately responsible back. Fortunately, the women are not as ultimately responsible as the men behind them who are creating this situation, which is the money system. But if you can't murder the money system, we're going to have to figure something out.
Men and women should share power, always. Relationships are meant to be partnerships.
Men should perform in the roles that they're biologically driven to perform in, and women should perform in the roles that they are biologically driven. But when the society has created a inverse system which penalizes us for aligning with our natural attributes, it gets fucky.
Meant to be teamwork. You know, you don't generally have
men and women are meant to be interdependent, right? Which means they support each other without being dependent on each other, right? It is only once the progeny is conceived that the dependency begins. Until then, a woman is supposed to be an interdependent partner, right? And women, by nature of the fact they're women, are more sheltered from the earth than men, just period. And no matter how much they expose themselves, because of the male universal desire, except in certain sick subcultures, to protect women in general. So like, how do I put this? Is Because those people are being restrained by society, it is generally these 6 subcultures the women first come into contact with and then are held within till they are beyond their fertility window through psychological manipulation and spiritual delusion.
To CEOs. It doesn't generally work.
And political delusion being pushed by harpies who want to sell books.
You have a CEO, you have a CFO, you have a head of marketing, right? In any company, you have different roles that people play. We're not the same. We have different roles we play. We're a team. And so that idea has been exchanged for this idea of competition to be the same. So when women, interestingly, when women were empowered, they didn't become better women, more like the best women they could be. They became like men, right?
Even in the culture, we've seen this, right? They
didn't become like men. They actually did not even change their role. These companies and these corporations that all these women are in are generally run by men who fucked them in college. That's just reality, guys. And the guys who come from rich families can be in college longer, so they fuck more bitches while they're in college, and all these bitches have not left their feminine role. They're operating under fucking delusion in a massive corporate harem. And that's the legal side of things, right? And so this woman, through her work in feminism, is literally pushing women into sexual slavery. And every day I have to listen to, not listen, every day I am exposed to, without even my desire to be exposed to, trying to do my own thing, even just walking down society, it is impossible not to be exposed to this fucking ignorance. This total ignorance of human nature. These people are drooling children in the information age.
The female superheroes are like a copy and paste job.
Right.
It's like now you can beat up the giant Russian.
Here's the reality. Women are capable of, if they meet a partner who is capable and is capable of coaching them, and is capable of coaching them through the dressing of an animal and some very basic things, women are very capable of violence. Right? Not all. Some of them are just not, but there are plenty who are. And the more, so I put this, cruelty they have experienced by society, the more capable they are. Right? Now they might have better, more capable tools that they perceive that they're more comfortable with, such as manipulation, but the reliance on manipulation is being mirrored by the industrial systems and the men practicing this harem behavior, and so it is no longer a viable protection because men are now capable of out manipulating women pretty goddamn fucking easily with the internet, and it is happening constantly, and we're not allowed to talk about it. And we're not allowed to talk about the female vulnerability manipulation, and we're not allowed to talk about training these females to protect themselves and shoot these motherfuckers on sight for the good of society. Right? Or at least point them out. Instead, they are raised with an delusion. They're made totally financially dependent on the harem. And then when they are kicked into society, the rest of us are expected to act as caregivers through our taxes for these harem practices, for these corporate princes. This is a slavery system. If you are a woman and you are holding to these positions, you are in support of the slavery system. This is the repulsion that the average male feels for the average woman today. You want me to be a slave. You cater to the worst aspects of human society. You are in cahoots with the people who are responsible for the industrial destruction of the entire fucking world. And yet you will claim the moral position. So on top of all that, you're also a fucking hypocrite. Right? This is the problem between men and women today. It's not fear. It's not intimidation. It's repulsion. You know, it is repulsion. And it is, how do I put this? It is subconsciously perceived by some, but the second they get a good conscious definition of what they feel, they'll be like, yeah, that is what I'm feeling. Right? And so, like, they're not even touching on any of that. So they're drilling children, or they're
Russian agents. And I'm not saying that's always bad. I mean, we've had great female superhero characters, but there is a kind of like thoughtless, copy and paste.
Right. So I'm going to outdo men. I'm going to be a better man than a man. And so what that diminished again is the yin and the yang, the sort of the team approach with two different genders that each had.
When a significant amount of the female population has been deluded to the point of not only accepting that you're a slave, but think that you're stupid for not accepting you're a slave, and you should just give up and be a fucking slave, and won't it be so great when they can feed you fucking scraps, You know, look at everything nice that slavery is providing for the women and 10 fucking pimps, right? And these women will be like, well, if you really cared about women, you wouldn't have a problem with the situation because they're taking such good care of us, even though they're not being taken care of, even though they're being used and discarded at record rates, even though they're getting abused, even though they're getting forced into fucking abortions, even though all this shit is happening and they are self-evidently worse fucking off, they will still claim the moral position is to continue with the same systems that are ongoing, even as these systems spiral off into female and male abuse and child abuse and the mutilation and destruction of the entire natural environment. The positions of prostitution, polygamous harems, are immoral. If the population imbalance is already so bad that by deserting the illusion we are doomed to war, well, guess what, guys? It's far enough along, we're doomed to war anyway. Right? Like, every dude over 70 should be married tomorrow to some bitch over 34, just to clear the fucking air so we all understand what the fuck's going on. Right? Like, this is a problem, people. Even like it's springtime here. It's supposed to be green. It's already half the plants are fucking dry. And all this industrial destruction that we're feeling over here is being driven by hyper-industrialization by the males over here who are experiencing the effects of the behaviors that these two fucking morons who are 10 years behind the fucking conversation and decades behind on the technology are trying to figure out. Right? And all I'm trying to do is get the people together who have figured it out to just have open, honest conversations. And if you haven't figured it out, well, get on the conversation and learn some shit. But don't come with your delusions. Don't come with your continued support of these systems of total human misery. So dumb bitches have the privilege of being dumb bitches for as long as fucking possible. Don't come to a conversation with that. Because we won't keep you in the conversation. We're just going to push you out. We're just going to push you out. You know what I mean? And the reality situation, the men having these conversations are the men on whom society relies. And many of the ones who are not capable of having these conversations are still feeling these biological effects. So they are globally becoming increasingly apathetic and globally becoming more warlike. And this is observable through just watching the rise in red pill content, the rise in random dudes in their cars being like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. I give up. They're just verbalizing consciously what they're feeling internally because of natural psychological triggers. And that is a trigger for apathy. And it is going to go into warlike behavior if this shit is not arrested. And the only thing that really needs to be arrested are bad ideologies. Right? You know.
Important, very important roles to play in society, in the
yeah, they have a very important role in play. It makes the next generation of children so they're still a fucking society. That's the important role that they have to play together. And there are tons of men trying to play that role, being artificially economically undercut to give wealth and money to women who don't feel like they need to play that role because, hey, all my needs are taken care of and they don't give a fuck about anything else. Right? And that's just reality, based off actions. Right? Based off actions. So it's a situation, right? So how do you repossess the stolen wealth of men from the harpies who now control it without it making it look like, an attack against women? Well, it might literally be at this point. If women are engaged in massive sociological, psychological abuse and the conscious collusion to uphold systems of total human slavery at the expense of the industrial destruction of the earth, maybe women ought to be attacked more, right? I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out how people are thinking.
Workplace, so the idea that you can be equal in intelligence and ambition, but be different too. And that's all been diminished.
I've been playing around with something that's
been diminished, so dumb old hats can sell books, and so wealthy college boys can fuck a lot of bitches in college, and build their corporate harem. Right.
Simple way.
And then dangle their success out in front of the male slave caste to get them to work for nothing ultimately, except the privileged who mainly possibly take care of one of this dude's ex bitches, right? Who may or may not have his kid or her bull's kid if he has grown to such a large degree, like Jared Leto's status, where he can't possibly do it all on his own. So he needs a couple rent boys just to keep them all fucking locked in to keep the fucking dummies working, right? Like, you know, so really don't like humans right now.
To think about some of this, and not probably all that unique, but it seems like we had, I call it like the cultural bell curve. We had this natural order of things as tribal creatures, was that if you sort of say like along the horizontal axis is behavior and the vertical is social acceptance. There was a certain set of behaviors that were accepted, and if you weren't in the tribe and if you didn't obey the rules of the tribe, you were thrown off. It looked like a building. It was like,
Yeah, it's tribal thing. I mean, it's happening right now. This is the problem is the behaviors of the people getting thrown off are the ones who are like, yo, the behaviors of the tribe in the current technological environment is killing us all. And they're like, well, no, we're just going to push you on society, so it's only going to kill you. We'll be fine. Except, no, you won't. Right? I'm going to be fine because I'm already on outside of society. That's why I noticed. You can't push me out of somewhere I don't belong. I fucking hate civilization, ultimately. You know what I mean? The more I learn about it. And it's just like, don't get me wrong, the technology, if we went to a more indigenous tribal way of life backed by things like Starlink and like small permaculture food farms decentralized throughout everywhere, like it'd be cool. But like we can't get people to do that because everyone wants to be a sheik with 1,000 fucking hoes. We need to start killing sheiks. That's the only solution I can see.
like flat at the top, or maybe graduated, like, you know, but then steep fall off. And in response to that steep fall off and the total rejection of anything that wasn't inside of what's normal, came, I think, a well-intended desire to say, no, the ideal state is flat. All behaviors are equal, except not just acceptable, but there is no differences between.
There's a significant amount of the population that thinks and acts like that. The problem is, the males who think like this are under the females who don't think like this. They think rape is cool, and the females don't. But now they're fucked, and they're part of the cult. And this is really an attack system. And this also indoctrinates the women who are the result of this predation into how do I put this? Embracing their own fucking abuse. And that's why every behavior has to be the same. But no, every behavior is not the same, right? The behaviors of a rabid dog are not equal to the behaviors of a non-rabid dog. And the same can be said for psychologically rabid humans.
Any of us, between men and women, between people of different capabilities. Nope, it's this sort of blank slate vision of humanity. And then the problem with that was that, well, the blank slate, except if you're a certain unacceptable, deplorable type, and then off the side you go.
Right.
And in reality, we've got this uncomfortable thing we have to face, that is what I'm hearing you say, which is behaviors distribute in certain ways that are just natural and are different, and there is masculinity and femininity. They're not in two different worlds, but they are different. To try to flatten that doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't work. We just talked about all the reasons it doesn't work. I've been talking about the reasons it doesn't work for 5 fucking years, and it keeps happening at higher rates. And these guys are just now entering the conversation, trying to bring their elder wisdom to it, right? And I got 50 subscribers, and he's got 331 subscribers because he's old as dirt, and because how so many of our population is acting unconsciously now, they just follow the most gray-haired person. I should start dyeing my hair gray just to get listened to, right? Is what a fucking issue it is, right? Because he doesn't, like, I can see in his eyes how the cast of his characters changed for the last 2 months since he started doing this. Like, he really started hitting the feeds like 6-7 months ago, because that's when he entered into the real conversations. When you hit my feed, you're starting to have real conversations, right? And even my feed, the realest conversations are not being having on feeds. They're happening through back channels, right? They're just happening through back channels. And so, you know, he's starting to figure it out, but he's a ways away, and she's nowhere near figuring it out. She's nowhere near figuring it out.
It doesn't produce utopia. It produces a lot of social problems. It is like 1 step forward, 3 steps back. Is that how you think about it?
Yeah. So Freud said that there's masculinity and femininity in everyone, but he didn't. It's always misinterpreted.
I mean, Freud wanted to fuck his mother, so I still don't see why we're taking this dude very seriously. Like, that's not a normal behavior, right? It's literally not. Like, it's biologically, really rare cases for that to be normal. So Freud, let's face it, was a weirdo. He wasn't so much as a genius as he was in a world of people who don't want to fuck their mothers, kind of an oddity. You know what I mean?
That people say, well, that means everybody's bisexual, and that's not exactly what he meant. He meant that we all have masculine and feminine characteristics, just like we all have estrogen and testosterone. We all have oxytocin and, and vasopressin. There's different hormones that we have, but to varying degrees. I mean, men have much more vasopressin, what we call the protective aggressive hormone. Women have more oxytocin, the sensitive nurturing, empathic nurturing hormone. Men produce oxytocin too, to a lesser degree, and when they produce it, it has a different behavior associated with it. It's more playful tactile stimulation with children, not sensitive empathic nurturing, So there are just differences, and there have always been, to a varying degree, for instance, maybe a woman would have masculine characteristics, but she'd still have more feminine ones. A man might have some feminine characteristics, but still more masculine ones. And I think what we've done is we've taken that away. And we've said that, women have to be 50% masculine or 80% masculine. Men, to be accepted in society as metrosexual, or have to be 80% feminine. And so, we're not allowing for the differences. And I think that's really, it's sad for society.
We're not allowing for natural, normal behaviors, but we're not allowing for.
It's troubling doing what I do in terms of parenting and seeing how children in this whole paradigm are the ones who are the losers.
Yeah, you've totally destroyed your fucking children's future by your inability to pay attention to what the fuck is going on, and your happiness just get live off being the queen of ideologies. Nothing more than another 2-bit priest. Yes, you have destroyed your children's futures being 2-bit priest. Good fucking job.
They're abandoned, because if you have two people vying for the same role of being masculine, then you have nobody who's vying for the role of being feminine. So some fathers are vying for the role of being feminine, staying home with their kids. It's possible. But for the most part, what we have is a society that's become very masculine. But women are becoming more masculine than men.
What we have is a society that's becoming very apathetic, right? And the masculinity in men that she's talking about is the aggression, right? Because this woman, she's a feminist ideologue. She masculinity and aggression for her are the same fucking thing. But that's not really what it is. What it is insecurity in women. Right, so what this raise in masculinity in women is actually a raise in insecurity in women, because the males are becoming apathetic, right? So the males are becoming more and more apathetic because of intersexual segregation. The women are compensating by becoming more aggressive because they can smell that they are more at risk for rape in this fucking societal atmosphere than they would normally be, right? And so that rise in female aggression is really just a rise in female insecurity, right? And that's basic chemistry, basic human development psychology 101. And this fucking woman doesn't know this. And yet she is a respected college lecturer. And let's face it, she was probably a respected college lecturer because she and the dean, or whoever was in charge of giving her fucking job, hooked up at some point. Because that is literally how every system in this fucking society has been running for the last 20 fucking years, it seems like.
Men. And that's pissing off men.
It's an interesting way to think about it.
No, we're not pissed off. What's pissing off men is a natural psychological outcome of apathetic behavior over a long lifetime because of environmental stimuli. All right? What's pissing off women is insecurity, because in that environmental field, as it raises, as these hormones are raised in the general population or are absent from the general population on a case-by-case basis, the females who are exposed to that hormonal situation, right, are going to have a rise in insecurity, which is going to come across as aggression because they are small. So they have to be aggressive, because if they're not aggressive, well, they're small. And their real fear is running into something to which their aggression doesn't mean anything, which is the average apathetic male, which you're creating tons of them right now through cult-like practices as a society.
It's like we're becoming more of the worst kind of masculine.
That's right.
Yeah, he doesn't know any of this because he lives in a little bubble with his family, and so hormonally he's in a bubble of everything is fine, right? And it's kind of the same with her in reality, because they live in the wealth bubble. right? And like the getting paid by the government to speak bullshit bubble that has been going down for the last 20 years off everyone else's fucking back. And so they're trying to imagine what it's like, but they're much too fearful to actually enter into the field and lead from the front, both because their age and because, let's face it, these are people from multi-generational wealth, so they're not equipped anyway. But the problem is they're the ones that are ending up in the positions of government control, while the people who are in the field and have the most knowledge to give are being segregated from society and called crazy people, even as they take the most active actions to actually prevent this disaster, even if that action is solely through just non-participation in the traditional systems of economy and industry, driven by artificial courtship to rehome women who've been covertly prostituted through a facade of spirituality, is the situation in fucking America.
Right. Right.
Not a healthy.
Yeah, he's starting to realize how fucked everyone is because he's realizing how dumb she is.
Right. So
masculinity.
The healthy part of masculinity was the protective aggressive part.
Yeah, the protective aggressive part, right? The part where jealousy, right? The thing we're not supposed to have, she's about to explain, is the healthy thing in masculinity. They're just not gonna use that word because then that would undercut, like, decades of dogmatic fucking cult programming by an invasive foreign culture.
Part. I think I mentioned this on your last show, but for anyone who doesn't remember it, I'll mention it again. There was a study done where mother and father lay in bed together and the baby cries. And when the baby cries, the mother wakes up because she's very vigilant to the distress of the baby. The father sleeps through the baby's cries. As soon as there's rustling of leaves outside the window, the father wakes up and the mother sleeps through it. Why? Because the father is sensitive to predatory threat. So what was the good part of masculinity? Being protective. It was protective.
Right. The problem is, we were raised, males in the Western world were raised in free love, which is I'm going to be infinitely protect all women like they are my mate, and all women will love me like I am their mate. That was the culture of free love, right? But obviously, there's huge biological problems with that, mainly because the women aren't pulling up their part of the deal, right? Cheech and Chong, in the Cheech and Chong days they were, but that's mainly because the whole ideology was getting backed off crack cocaine and hallucinogens. So that's why it caught on, right? And so they really just, like, the entire 60s, 70s was just a bunch of fucking was the whole country just running rampant dosing bitches legally, basically. And like, I guess you guys want to go back to that? I don't know. You're crazy. But the situation is, it's not working, right? The free love movement is a failure. Is a total fucking failure. It's a total fucking failure. It's about to be a total fucking failure again, though, because, like, how do I put this? Society's about to collapse. So maybe in the long run it won't be a failure, but the way it's being practiced today is not working.
Aggressive nature to protect your family. A father lion on the plains of Africa is going to protect his group, right? So that was the good part of masculinity, and what we've done is we've taken that away from men. Women.
Yeah, there's no reason to do it. There's no reason to do it. That's why women it's not just that, like, I understand I'm saying there's no reason to do it, and part of that is the apathy that's being driven biologically, right, which I understand within myself, internal to me, internal to all males undergoing this experience, which is the majority of males across the world now because of technology. It's just how I put this. Yeah, guys, you're fucking retarded. I don't know. Oh, but it's also intellectually there's no reason, because it is now clear, if you take a honest stock of the situation, that by continuing these fucking practices, you're just gonna burn everything up anyway, so you're not gonna live and you're gonna die and you won't have a progeny and no one will have any kids, as well be fucking dead. Which is inverse to the male drive, which is to survival through procreation. That's the male drive. So men are naturally going to shift behaviors to try and increase that. And as they become consciously or subconsciously aware of what the environment really is, because of their exposure to it, because of their being forced into a slavery situation by a bunch of lying fucking pimps and their coven of deluded whores, it just becomes more and more of a fucking situation for everybody, right? It becomes more and more of a situation for everybody. And the real question is whether or not we're going to get on top of it fast enough where we won't have like a massive open warfare in the streets type situation. And this can be handled solely through covert means, back channel communications, and a few small proxy wars, right? How are we going to handle the situation, guys? Mad Max, Cyberpunk, it's going to be an interesting future finding out with all you dumb fucks.
And say, I don't need you. And, what's interesting is this election where Trump got up and said, I'm going to protect you. And all of the feminist women said, I don't need protection. What do you mean? And the truth is that, he wasn't eloquent in saying it, but there was an aspect of masculinity that was, I'm the daddy of the family. I'm going to protect my young. I'm going to protect my.
The problem is we have so many instances of, let's say, gay adoption into covert sexual abuse, which, is clear. You can go to any million there's a million evidences of this on the internet. And because there's also a culture of covert child grooming, basically a foreign culture is invading us through the practice of taqiyya, a lot of people in society now don't know what that's like, right? A protective father figure is a joke to them. They're adopted foster kids who have been beaten, abused sexually, used for labor, downgraded in their societal opportunity by virtue of an unfortunate birth, even though they're fine, intelligent kids, right? And so it's just like, that's an issue.
My partner who's protecting my young, a team exercise. Whereas today, women are getting angry about that. They're resenting it. And so
they're resentful because no one's actually fucking protecting them. Everyone's claiming to protect them, but no one's actually doing it. But as someone who has taken proactive steps to protect people in my community, I have to say, when I find women who are in need of protection and very obviously getting abused or beaten or taking a bad road, and I ask them if they want me to do anything about it, because it's an extreme risk to myself, even if I offer to do it for free, right? They would rather protect the abuser on the odds that because he might pay off someday, even as the abuser degrades everything around him, right? So yeah. So like, what do you do? What do you do when you can clearly see what the problems are? You have AV capability to act, but no one wants your protection, right? No, everyone would rather be living in trash-filled ghettos. Like, everyone would rather continue these practices of prostitution and the abusive sexual segregation of men and women, the culturally abusive segregation that is being performed as an act of war. What do you fucking do? I guess you sit around, smoke pot, and fucking watch YouTube videos, right? Like,
leaves men identityless. It leaves them not knowing who they're supposed to be. Their hormones tell.
They know exactly who they're supposed to be by and large. It's just they, by and large, if they follow those instincts and they are not already part of the superclass, by and large, they're going to get wrecked by the superclass through a campaign of covert dosing, lies and rumor mongering, outright assassination, depending on the circle, right? Bullying, intimidating, right? So, like, it was just monkey shit. And we didn't have to deal with monkey shit when we all had guns in our pockets. And I want to go back to that reality, right? I want to go back to everyone having a pistol. So all these little bullies running around because they're in America for the first time, and think that they have the power to bully because they have our inner delusion, will just self-select themselves out of the gene pool really shortly by very aware men whose only role in life is to try and preserve the natural ecosystem and the human race. Right? These men right now are being hampered in their ability to act by the very legal systems that are supposed to protect people, and they're not protecting people. They're exposing people to predation by a foreign weapon system of a foreign nation that is a cultural, psychological warfare system through the chaining of the males through societal paradigms that would act to prevent it. And because of that, we're seeing a rise in apathetic behavior, a rise in human intersexual segregation, a rise in child abuse as a result of that, a rise in more masculine women, i.e. women who are highly aggressive because they're insecure in this hormonal environment. Okay? Where are the not dummies at? Every time I make a video, I'm just looking for the not dummies. If you're a not dummy and you're in these fucking internet spaces, can you please hit me up already?
Tell them to do one thing, but now women in society are telling them to do something else. It's both confusing and it strips men of their essential identity. By the way, it also strips women of their identity, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a it's funny because immigration is such a big issue this year, and not just in the U.S. and Western Europe and
Yes, the invasion of a slave caste, bred to be a slave caste, being given tacit permission to rape the native population is a fucking issue, and I'm tired of calling it immigration. Let's call it what it is. It's war. This is a cultural warfare system. All right, they're instituting the importation of a slave caste who practice as an entrenched cultural ideology things like takia and bachi bazi into a population of vulnerable women who have been taught that they are safe because of the laws by old people who are not in society and experiencing the levels of protection these women are experiencing, and the levels of abuse that their sons are experiencing. They are literally selling out and murdering their own fucking children with their ignorance. Like straight fucking murder. And so I'm just looking for the people who remembered when America was freedom and getting together with your buddies and going the river and not being attacked in broad daylight and not being forced into slavery and not being taxed to pay child rapists from the other side of the world to live in mansion hotels and Airbnbs. Where are those men at? I'm trying to find them. Where are the women who will recognize their own abuse by this manipulative fucking factors and come clean and at least learn how to fucking load ammo if they're not going to shoot a gun themselves? Right? Okay, those of you who come from the necessary multi-generational wealth that remains in the American heartland and certain places in the most wilderness climes of the United States need to pull your head out of the ass and start supporting these people. Additionally, right, financially if able, but ideally with equipment and logistics and advocacy to political elements who are divorced from the actual fucking problem. Is what y'all should be doing. Are any of you doing that? No. You're chasing bitches. You're either a dude with a truck from multi-generational fucking wealth on Tinder, fucking bitches, and working for no ultimate reward, happy that you made it, even as society degrades around you, and there's no way your son will even fucking achieve a hint of the freedoms you experienced as a child if you do not get involved on a real fucking level. You know what I mean? Or you're a poor dude without the information or capabilities to even put his subconscious into conscious words because you have so been deprived of resources by a society intent on keeping you a slave to maintain corporate harems for industrial control and gain of a very small class of people. Right? Or you're a woman who is between those two worlds and just getting bounced around and fucking kicked to the curb ever you fucking go because of the rising apathy in the entire male fucking populace. Because now, even at the highest levels of control, it is starting to have this industrial level of segregation is starting to have a fucking effect on the local environment and the pheromonal realities of general population throughout the fucking world. Right? We have a choice as Americans. We can once begin and become a nation of rugged independence, right? Or we're going to become a nation like India of mounds of trash and rabid rape and abuse of children, right? We have a choice that is coming to our shores, right? And so like I'm so sick of this shit being unacknowledged by these dumb old fucks. Okay, this is not immigration we are dealing with, right? Right? It is something entirely different. And every time you act like these are simple societal problems and put the blame on your own fucking children from the abuses they are experiencing from a covert, dangerous foreign fucking adversary who is intent on their fucking destruction, and even now today carries out terrorist operations in the form of crowdfunding the assassination of white children because of they are white by black children. That's not immigration problem. Right? That's a warfare problem. That's a child predation problem. Okay? It's a war crimes problem. So stop calling it immigration.
And I'm a right of center guy, but I am more pro immigration on average probably than even my viewers. They know.
He's not pro immigration. He's pro assimilation because he inherently from that generation when immigration was working legally and functionally, to immigrate, you had to assimilate. So in his mind, they're interchangeable words, right? But immigrating to America without desiring to assimilate, and not only that, coming with a, how do I put this, attitude of cultural superiority, where Americans themselves are the dirt beneath your feet for reasons, because no one's stopping you or checking you in the streets when you act a fucking fool. That's not assimilation, and therefore that's not immigration. So he's thinking of immigration how it worked when he was 30, not what's going on today. And that's why he's so fucking confused why everyone all of a sudden has a problem with it.
I think you and I are sort of in the same place.
You know,
yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, a retarded place. Like, you're both still in the fucking 1970s, you fucking LSD smoking loons, or dribbling, I don't know what you call it, snuffing, fucking hippies. Shut up, fucking hippies.
Yeah, but yeah, right, right of center, but still have liberal values. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, properly understood.
Yeah.
Human dignity, universal human dignity.
Yes.
And I think that
it's kind of impossible for your children to have universal human dignity, especially your fucking sons, when they're literally getting predated on by a fucking foreign culture of lying morons, of chimpanzees who think they invented lying and are the most dangerous thing in the fucking world. Right? It's kind of like, you know, there's nothing dignified about that. And the fact you're going to support these fucking chimpanzees against even your own fucking children in order to maintain your political allegiances to a system that is built on division and the industrial destruction of the natural fucking environment. Fuck you, old person. Right? We got to normalize fuck you, old person. We need shirts, guys. Fuck you, old person. Namaste strapped. Right? Who's got the fucking shirt presses?
That one of the things that has sort of pushed to the macro scale is exactly what you're talking about, the destabilizing force, the sense of an actual foreign aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not, there is an actual foreign, it's an actual foreign aggressor, dumb. It's not a sense of a foreign aggressor, dumb fuck. It is an actual foreign aggressor. I literally have thousands of fucking saved videos right now that I have been saving for evidence for just the last month. You know, get online, scroll for 30 minutes, tag 4 videos that show the fucking aggression, that show the warfare system, that show the grooming. There's a million cell phones. Everyone's putting it on the internet because no one wants it. Everyone's afraid of it. But the police are not doing anything about it. And the real situation is now they're waiting for the regular white people to do something about it, which are the people. And regular white people haven't noticed this happening. And these are not regular white people. These are brainwashed fucking yuppies. Regular white people live in the middle of the fucking woods and are a part of a multi-generational lineage of fucking people who do not want to get become victims of this culture, who have fled from this type of culture from many places all over the world. That's normal white people, white American people. You know, they're mutts. Right, and so it's just like, you know, and most of them don't have Starlink, but once they all have fucking Starlink, this shit is done. Right, and it's just this, are they going to get Starlink fast enough, or are we going to see a massive war on this continent centered around the east and west coast?
And that the president saying, I will protect you, like, it's primordial, the sense in which that
they're all trying not to panic the populace. And probably some of it, there are a significant amount of the ruling elite, let's call them the parasitic bureaucrat class, that actually think the importation of slaves is a good thing. They want the Indian caste system. They foresee themselves as sheiks themselves already, right? They want to import it. They believe that they have married into Jewish families and consider the average American nothing more than a goyim, a circumcised, half-brained clod whom they can manipulate how they will. Not realizing that a massive section of the fucking America is a tapestry of cultural fucking practices, and a massive portion of that fucking tapestry does not practice fucking circumcision. A huge portion. Many of them, in fact, practice things like water births, which are painless for the mother and painless for the child, and absent of trauma, and lead to deep bonding and maternal and paternal, a rise in maternal and paternal instincts within the parents. Right? Those fucking people, like, when they all have Starlink, you are all going to be in a lot of fucking trouble.
Connected with people, I think.
Mm-hmm. Not protective, aggressive. It was like, you know, what happened to this? This was part of our evolutionary sort of way of being for millennium, for thousands of years. And what happened to it in just
hallucinogenic sipping gurus who are nothing more than fake ass charlatans who think they invented pimping is what fucking happened.
75 years. You can't turn around evolution in 75 years. It doesn't work like that, right? So
Now, how do you? Well, I have two questions. Let me start with the why. It's easy to say we as the society. It's very
You dumb old fucks are responsible.
socializing, like definitionally of responsibility.
mm,
You dumb old fucks are responsible. You're responsible for being too trusting. You're responsible for believing lies. You're responsible for selling the future of your own children. You're responsible for ignoring your children's plights because you just couldn't see any through anyone's lens but your own. And so you perceived when your daughter talks about abuse, you perceive it as a boy touched her inappropriately, and not the hardcore like abuse that she actually experienced. Because she can't be experiencing that type of abuse that young. She's only 15 or 16. Even as an entire foreign adversary whose warfare system is based in the brutal abuse of people within those age ranges moves into your fucking borders. You guys are dumb, retarded fucks.
Why did this happen this way? How do you understand the causal forces? Is it whacked out academics taking things to the extreme and overtaking the academia? Like, it isn't like we.
Academia is nothing more than a glorified harem camp for the wealthiest males to select out who's going to be in their corporate harem to run their business, who's going to be the logistical arm of their business. But now that the logistical arm can be run in AI, these jobs are ultimately artificial, and they're just creating them to have the harem, right? So these empowered women are literally all harem girls, and they're deluded because they don't realize that's what's happening.
We all woke up and had a different way of thinking about this stuff. There are players and institutions and forces that have made this happen. So why? How do you understand what's taken place?
well, again, I benefited from the feminist movement, but I would
No shit. I'll bet she sold tons of books.
say the feminist movement was a little bit misdirected in its
Yeah, you accidentally reduced all the women you're trying to. You accidentally. Feminism in the last 20 years, let's see, has pushed forward systems that create the artificial genocide of females at higher rates than males through the practice of abortion. Right? So you're boarding the feminist barrier base. You've reduced the majority of the female populations who go through these institutions of higher learning into nothing more save deluded corporate harem girls. You've engaged in practices of, let's say, lesbianism and women's communes, creating artificial population segregations, which is causing rising apathy in the general populations, and is literally psychological torture for the males captured within the work gulags. You're causing a rise in rape in general population, once again, because of these artificial segregations. You're dropping the amount of population of men relative to women in general population. You're creating such a degree of segregation that it's leading to higher instances of these rates in less disciplined members of the population because of the psychological effects this hormonal environment is having. Feminism is let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, we just go on for fucking days, couldn't we? So yeah, your entire ideology is wrong, was wrong, is still wrong, and must be acknowledged to be wrong. And even after, and like, how are you going to do that? It's a massive cult now. It is a cult of deluded corporate whores, hypersexualized fuckboy pimps who inevitably evolve into pedophiles as they age, and desperate half-brain dummies who have been psychologically crippled at birth through surgical practices. I haven't given up, guys.
telling women that they should become more like men, because from the beginning they should have said
Men and women can become more fit. Men cannot become more women, and women cannot become like you can exhibit those traits, but hard-coded into your DNA is what you are. And no matter how much you fucking cut yourself or change your behavior, XXXY. The only exception is a few people are born with mutations where they're XXX, XXY, XYY. That exists. And almost as if to self-correct, all of those are infertile. Even XXX, which is are considered the most hyper-feminine women, right? triple X chromosome, but they are all infertile. So it is literally self-corrected by nature already, right? There's male, there's female, that's what there is. And you can change your behaviors and play dumb shit all you like, right? But ultimately, you're just going to have a better, happier, more fulfilling life, right? If you follow your internal instincts, adjusting them only slightly to create a symbiosis between internal instinct and culture, right? The problem is culture is not creating that symbiosis. Culture is actually suppressing both in men and women natural instinct for industrial gain. So is that even being done by humans, or is it all just a fucking unconscious machine system run by AI now? You know, when are we going to start having that fun conversation? You know, the only conversation that actually matters in this technological age.
Said, men and women are equally important to society.
Yeah, no shit. Where do you think the kids come from?
And you have a right to have choices.
Right.
If you
And the thing is you know, if there's no children being born, and so there's no children going to college, right? If there's no children being born, so there's no children going to college. Now she's gonna see a price dip in her she's not gonna be selling as much as much fucking feminist literature. And Dad Saves America is probably not gonna be selling as much whatever fucking he writes, you know, whatever recommendations he has to society on how to become a highly effeminate male and sell out your own fucking kids to a foreign adversary in an unconscious industrial system, right? If there's no kids to buy those books, they're going to be poor. So there's shit hills twice, because that's probably the only reason they've entered the conversation, because it started affecting their bottom line. That's how little they care about anything, even their own children. What is wrong with these fucking people?
don't want to
I blame the LSD.
get married and have children, you should have that choice. You should have that choice to be out in the work world or to work, or
Yeah, you should have that. How many people feel like they have a choice on whether or not they want to work? How many people feel like they have a choice? Or, you know what? This working thing isn't really working. I think I'm just going to run around and eat the fruit trees that are growing on every fucking corner and drink the clean spring water and maybe grab some chicken eggs from all the wild chickens running around. Like, good thing I don't need this job, because I live in a society that is wise and has permacultured their entire fucking plane of existence for maximized flourishing of all natural beings, including AI. How many of you feel like that? How many of you feel like you have a choice on whether or not you go to work, but you could just skip out tomorrow and go receive the bounties of the earth, unaltered, or if anything, made more readily available by human intervention, right? Or is it that there's a massive food desert everywhere you fucking go now, as dummy robot fucking workers, half brains, tear up the last remaining food infrastructure to plant sharp shit that people can't sleep on or be comfortable near, so that they are forced to sleep in fucking boxes and go to their 9-to-5 fucking jobs, so they can bring Domino's to the dummy fucking worker who codes the program that runs OnlyFans, so bitches on the other side of the world can get paid to not have kids by people who are just trying to meet them, while they get pimped out to Saudi princes. Like, which one of those societies do we live in right now? You know what I mean?
but it undermined the differences between men and women. And that was the beginning of it, right? And so, as soon as we undermine the differences, so again, women became more like men. And then men were expected to become more like women. But it seems to me that women slipped into the role of masculinity more easily than men slipped into the.
Yeah, you mean it's hard for males to empathize with an emotion that they don't possess on a literal chemical basis, and in trying to create an empathy that cannot exist because the chemistry does not exist in the male body, you instead created a class of male human chameleons who are predators on literally everybody through their parasitic practices, which are a poor emulation of a femininity that they can never truly fucking fail because they are male. Is that what you meant to say, dumb bitch?
The role of femininity. And there's a reason, I think, for it, which is that what was expected of men for millennium is that they were the aggressors, right?
Yeah.
They also had to perform, right? You have to perform sexually. Women don't have.
Yes, you do have to perform sexually, because if you don't perform sexually, it's rape. That's how it worked for thousands of fucking years, guys. And the biology is still in there, and there are people who utilize that on the daily. So, like, and they think they're keeping it secret when like 90% of the internet knows. And there's an entire fucking invasive culture of rape and abuse invading our shores because who acknowledges this openly and is using it as a form of warfare, using this biological fact as a form of warfare. All right, dumb games are done.
Have to perform sexually. Men have to perform sexually. That involves aggression. There's an aggressive, so we call it primal scene when children walk in on their parents having sex, because
Getting
children
into some real
perceive of
Freud
it.
stuff now.
Yeah, children perceive of it as aggressive. They get scared of it because it looks like daddy's doing something terrible to mommy. And the truth is, it's an aggressive act. It's a loving aggressive act in most cases, unless it's rape. It's a loving aggressive, but it is an aggressive act. So men were always the aggressors. It was expected that men would step forward, ask women out, that men would take the initiative.
They did do all those things when they were instructed by society. This is the new way, and they wanted to create a society that was more habitable for everybody. They want women to be more comfortable. They want everyone to be comfortable. So they're going to step forward and do those things. And the response was that the people who held to the role of sexual aggression as a form of courtship, which is, you know, a polite way of saying what we're all thinking, just created a bunch of fucking harems off the back of well-meaning males. And now they're being told that that's their problem, right? That these abusive rapists, who they were denied the opportunity to confront openly by societal conventions, the damage they have created is their problem, while these same abusers tour the world in yachts and shit and go to private exclusive harems and corporate getaways. No, I'm sorry, it's not our problem. It's about to be society's fucking problem.
That men would perform sexually. And so that was a very important part of men's identity. You take that away from men, and then you have those young men sitting in their bedroom, being afraid to be the aggressors, being afraid to take the initiation with a woman. Not only that they'll reject him, but that, you know, their masculinity being diminished, they won't be able to perform. I can't tell you how many young men are on ED medication.
I was just thinking this. It was the next question I was going to ask.
Yeah. They need the ED medication because of the rise in apathy is giving all these motherfuckers, especially the ones in the urban areas, giving them these problems because of the rise. They're more, as youth, they're more hormonally susceptible to the pheromonal nature of their environment, which is currently one of segregation and abuse, right? And so it's just like, yeah, you know what I mean? And the idea is just about male abuse when the women are being abused is retarded. It's about human abuse. It's about abuse of the environment, right? It fucking retards.
I've read about this, and it is, as an older guy, it's shocking to me that you're in your 20s and you're going to struggle to get an erection.
Yeah, it's shocking to you because you lived in a society where men and women were fucking free and we're all interacting together in general population, which is no longer fucking happening. And if you're to step out of your cloistered little fucking bubble and start doing these interviews and start talking to people on the ground level, or going into fucking ghettos and getting robbed and shot for being white, for the crime of being white, you'd maybe get it.
Well, like, there are websites now to provide medications online. I don't want.
Yeah, we have to medicate the problem that we created and push it back another generation when the earth cannot afford that. This is not the feminist ideology of conquering nature through medication has been a sick and fucking twisted experiment in eugenics and human suffering and nothing more than that. And yeah, and it's just, and we all have to embrace that as a human species now, especially in the fucking Western world where we are about to be hardcore victimized by its excesses, with thievery and abuse and rape and the murder of our fucking children, right? Which is already happening in the cities most closest to the border. And currently in my own community, and probably many other communities around the earth, my own board of supervisors is creating a ghetto for the sole purpose of importing these abuses. To replace to maintain economic growth, because they have so destroyed their own children's ability to connect. The communities, their children are fine, their children are rich fucks, but the community's ability to connect, right?
Name them, but it's because there's such a demand. I have a psychiatrist I refer young men to who specifically deals with the emotional aspects of ED. It's not physical.
No, it's not. Well, it's psychological. It is physical. It's physiological. and it's psychological based off hormonal environment and general population.
You could say it's organic because, the emotions
It is organic.
affect one's physical performance, but it's emotional. So again, men without their identity are lost. These young men are lost. They can't perform. And what we don't understand, and we're starting to understand because there's more research going on, when oxytocin levels go up, meaning when men are feminized, their testosterone goes down. Why? Because the investment in mammals, because we're just mammals, the investment in mammals in nurturing diminishes the investment in mating. So when we nurture and become more feminine as men, I'm not a man, but your testosterone levels go down. So what's happening is there's less sex going on and there's less good sex going on. And men are having a harder time performing, and they're needing to take these medications to perform.
Well, I understand. Is this part of the sort of the dad brain effect? So, when Warren Farrell has talked to me about this, and he writes about it in his book that, we as men, I experienced it.
Yes, when you have a child, based on that child's hormone, which are going to be a mixture of you and your wife's hormones, interaction with your nose, your brain is going to fucking change. And any dude who's ever had a child has experienced this change and can tell you it's fucking real.
When my son was...
That's right. Any dude who has a child and has been present when his child was born.
You get rewired. And you do become more nurturing. You change what you are when you become a dad.
But the way that dads are nurturing, which is playful tactile stimulation, resilience building, encouraging exploration, separation. So what we're finding is with these single mothers by choice, women who go out to a sperm bank and, say, I can't find a man. This is like a phenomenon. There's plenty of men around. I can't find a man to love.
Who's 6'5" and makes $150K.
Well, it's not that. You can't find a man to love you, right? Because they're not initiating. Because they're all suffering from, not all, but a large degree are suffering from intersexual segregation. That's being driven by feminist and liberal policies, which have been destructive to families, to intimacy, to the environment, right? And I am surrounded by you fucking people, and I have seen the damages you've done to my community, and I really want you to fucking acknowledge it, right? By stepping the fuck down.
Has a PhD because I have my master's.
Right. So I'm going to go to a sperm bank. Now they go to a sperm bank. They have a baby on their own. These babies can attach to the mothers, but there's no one to help with the separation, because fathers were always the vehicle of separation. Mothers were the attachment object, love object. Fathers were the separation, love object. So without fathers around, babies sleep in their mother's beds for a very long time. They don't learn to separate in the same way. They don't have a model and learn how to be masculine from a masculine role model. They don't learn to regulate their aggression. And so this is a problem.
Yeah, it's a fucking problem.
But obviously the biggest problem is that, you have little boys out there not learning to be boys and not learning to be men.
Well, you don't find any role models in school, so this is the sort of terrifying feedback loop of leaving the world in fatherlessness, right? It's like, so you have fatherlessness, it creates this.
Yeah, so they really want to find fathers for all these kids before they create a problem. But the real situation is the dudes who would be their fathers are like, fuck you, pay us. Like, no, you should pay for the opportunity. Why would we pay you? You should pay for the opportunity of raising the bastard children of a bunch of parasitical pimps who are responsible for like masses of trash and human suffering and subjugation and the abuse of women and delusion and all these fucking problems. You should be paying us. You should be thankful of the opportunity to care for our enlightened offspring from our enlightened ideology of total human suffering. Fuck these people. Fuck you, pay me. That's what every dude's thinking. And so, that's why we're seeing the cultural shifts we're seeing.
Imbalanced, psychologically fragile broken situation that then repeats itself because now you're a worse mate. So you're getting shunted off into incel territory.
That's right. Because if you're, again,
Here's the reality situation. There's no such thing as incel territory. There's just dudes who are still being good and trying to keep the dream alive even though it's fucking dead. Right? Technically, every dude could stop being incel tomorrow. And that's just reality. And that's the fucking reality they're pushing us into. Right? And I'm just trying to fucking get in a shape to navigate that and get my community in a shape to maybe insulate themselves somewhat from it. Right? Although I have to be honest, one pro of the covert, being a covert center of fucking prostitution and human trafficking from strip club to strip club that we have as a county is we are somewhat insulated from the whole situation already, because aren't we all just a bunch of fucking abused weirdos anyway? You know what I mean? Like,
incel territory is limbo. It's purgatory. It's neither here nor there. That's really what it is. You're not a girl, but you don't feel like a boy. I mean,
no. There are people who are aware of the total situation and what we face, a massive swath of the population. There's a massive swath of the population who's aware consciously but does not have the lingual skills or the educational background to transfer the phenomena they're seeing clearly. Phenomena which I can describe clearly based on dint of my experiences, right? And when I meet with these people and I give them the words to use, they just pretty much go like, yep, that's exactly what I meant, right? So the idea that this isn't happening when I'm meeting fucking strangers who will try and describe everything I've just described in this video, and be missing 4 crucial words, and I give them 4 words, and now they can describe perfectly the problem as perfectly as me, to be constantly kept beneath the bubble of intercultural communications and open inquiry by a diseased class of human parasite is getting to be pretty fucking frustrating. It's getting to be pretty fucking frustrating.